Hello and welcome back to Dad on a Dime. Today we're going to tackle the topic of pros and cons of low cost airlines. I know some people are a little bit weary of flying on a low cost airline, and you will probably guess that I'm not. I am completely in favor of low cost airlines, but that doesn't mean that they're all wonderful. I mean, there are definitely pros and cons to them, and these are things that you need to think about. So we'll examine some of the most basic pros and cons today, and then at the end, you can make up your own mind if it's a good idea for you and your family. Pro number one is obviously the cost. If you are asking, should I fly this airline or not, you don't really care about cost, then don't fly a low cost airline. You will probably not be happy. Most of the people that I find online who complain about low cost carriers simply have other priorities besides just the cost. So be aware of the fact that this is obviously the primary reason why someone would fly a low cost carrier is if you are trying to save money. However, I would say don't assume that you're just because you're going through a low cost carrier that you're going to save money. You have to be very, very careful. I have done a lot of price comparisons over the years between various airlines, and I have found that with low cost airlines, and this is true for most airlines, but you're really going to get your best deal if you book your flight anywhere from between 4 and 8 weeks out of when the trip is actually going to be. I would definitely never get on a low cost carrier website and assume that the price that they come up with is your best deal, because I have absolutely found times where they were more expensive than other airlines, or that it was very, very close in price. And because of the number of things that you lose out on with a low cost carrier, it's not always the best deal. The second pro is still cost. If you did not pick up on this last time, it's all about the money. So you are definitely trying to save money here. And you can save a large percentage from the other airlines. I would say personally, I know that I have saved at least 50% off what the other airlines, the major airlines, were offering as far as the cost of ticket goes. But here's the deal, you have to limit your luggage and expectations. Know that you are not going to get all of the bells and whistles that you get with the major airlines. A lot of people who book through some type of travel website, they show up and then they're shocked at how much they're limited and what they can bring, or maybe I shouldn't say limited, but that they have to pay extra for all of the little things. So definitely be aware of that. You can go to some amazing places for very, very cheap if you limit your expectations and your luggage. Luggage is a big, big thing. Understand that that backpack that you see on that gentleman standing in front of mountains is about all you're going to get. If you can travel very lightly, you can travel very cheaply. But when you start tacking on a lot of luggage, it will add up because pretty much everything, even from just a regular carry on to all of your checked luggage, it's going to cost you extra. Be aware of that. Which brings me to the first con, obviously, with limitations, it's primarily with your luggage. Again, you get what most low cost carriers call one personal item for free. But that's essentially a backpack. Now, if you can go and, you know, go with very little luggage, then again, you can get a great deal. I will say my family and I, when we went to Disney World last summer, we each took one backpack and we were very careful with how we packed the backpack, but we each just took one backpack and that was it. That was all of the luggage that we took with us when we flew to Orlando. We did laundry at our hotel. Not that big of a deal. If you're willing to do some laundry, then do that. I mean, it was certainly much cheaper for us to do a couple of loads of laundry while we were at Disney World than it would have been to pay to check more luggage. Also, something that I like about that, it's so much easier getting on and off the plane. If you have checked luggage, it can take forever to get it checked in the first place. And then when you have to stop and pick it up, it's a real pain. Now, yes, if you're going to Disney World, you can have the luggage delivered directly to your room. You don't have to wait around for it. But I love being able to just get on the plane and get off the plane and go about my business. But understand, if you take anything more than this, a regular carry-on or any checked bags, it will cost. And that's where they really make up the price difference most of the time, is that they charge you a lot more for bags. If you want to know exactly how much, again, depending on which airline you're looking at, get online and read the fine print. You can find how much they charge, but I mean, I've seen anywhere from between $50 to $100 for a checked bag, which is just crazy to me. So do your research. The second big con for most people are the in-flight limitations, and the number one thing would be the snacks. They have snacks, but you're going to pay extra for everything. Now, there are a few low-cost carriers that might provide a free cup of water, but don't even assume that that is free. My view of this is I can either survive a couple of hours without a snack, or I can just buy something after I get past security in the airport and take that on with me. To carry a drink in your hand, or if you have on your backpack a little pouch where you can put a drink in, that's no big deal. So that's typically what I do, is I'll just buy a drink after I get through security and keep it on me, and then I have a drink for the flight. So it's not a big deal. But I've seen some people throw a huge fit talking about how terrible low cost carriers are because they don't provide a bag of peanuts and a soda. Well, if it's that big a deal, you can still buy it in flight, and it will still make your flight much cheaper. So be aware of that. Also, and I don't have cute little pictures for this, but also when you talk about in-flight limitations, you're probably going to be limited in where you sit unless you pay extra for that. Now, if I'm flying by myself, I just don't really care. If I fly with my family, I try to make sure that the kids are with my wife or myself anyway. But even in paying extra for seats, unless you're just getting, their quote deluxe seats or the extra room seats, they're not a ton more. I believe last year when we flew to Disney, I was able to still purchase our seat locations for $9 a seat. Really wasn't that big of a deal. That was the only extra thing that I paid for, but it was worth it to me to have the kids sit with a parent. The third big con I really feel are the airport limitations. Understand that there may be some really good flight deals out there, but they might not be near where you live. A lot of times, the low cost carriers are able to charge less because they are flying out of an airport that isn't as large, and they cut a deal with the airline to get them in for a cheaper price. So anyway, do your research, but understand that it might not be a better deal for you depending on where you live. Now you might be thinking, what are my airline options? We talk about low-cost carriers, but what are those? Well, here are some basics. You have Allegiant, which Allegiant has a tendency to fly out of smaller airports. Frontier can fly out of bigger ones. JetBlue is one that I've heard good things about, but I don't have really close to me. And in fact, I don't know if everyone would still consider them a low-cost carrier. Spirit Airlines, I have found some really good deals with them. So for me personally, out of this list, my preferences are Frontier and Spirit. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily better than the others. It's just where I live, they're my better options. Now, some people would throw in Southwest. And I put that with a question mark because is Southwest truly a low cost carrier? Well, when they began, I would say yes. I mean, that was really what was appealing about them. But over the years, I still think you can get good deals on Southwest. But a lot of the things that you look at when I talked about what low cost carriers don't have, Southwest does have. So you can get a free carry-on luggage. You get 2 free checked bags. You can get usually peanuts and a drink for free with the flight. There's no assigned seating other than just the boarding group that you go on with. So you don't have to pay extra for seats. A lot of those things don't match up between Southwest and true low-cost carriers. Also be aware that if you're going to book with Southwest, you pretty much have to go through their website or directly with a travel agent. If you go through a travel website like Expedia or Kayak or something, they will not have Southwest flights show up. You can find really good deals, but I usually can find even better deals with Frontier or Spirit. Now you have to ask yourself, should I fly a low-cost carrier? Well, again, if you can find a great deal, so really be looking to book between 4 and 8 weeks out from your travel date. If you can survive with just a single carry-on item, if you don't care about having in-flight meal or snacks, and if you're flexible about where you sit, I almost guarantee you will find a much better priced flight on a low-cost carrier. However, if you are booking last minute, if you are picky about having food in flight or where you and your family sit, you might want to look elsewhere. But even where you sit, it's becoming more commonplace to be required to pay for seats. It's becoming more commonplace to pay for luggage. So there's a good chance you would still save a lot of money with a low-cost carrier. For me, the biggest hurdle that I have to overcome many times is where are they flying to? Just logistically, I have to think about location. And obviously, you don't want to go way out of your way just to get a cheaper flight because then you're tacking on extra time getting a rental car and driving places. So in that case, it wouldn't be good. So you have to evaluate for yourself. Hey, thanks again for tuning in to Dad on a Dime. I really want to encourage you that if you enjoy this video or some of my other videos, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.